The red dirt road curled through a sad little neighborhood outside Phoenix. The homes looked broken, tin roofs bent, walls stained with smoke and rain. Even the sun felt tired shining there. An old iron gate creaked open, and a woman with silver hair stormed out wearing a dramatic gray fur coat. She held up her phone and shouted, "Police! I'm Margaret Rowland. I've been robbed digitally. My Wi-Fi's hacked." On the other end, a calm officer named Ferguson replied, "Did someone break in?" "No," she snapped, "but my Wi-Fi's blinking weird. I'm sure it's that little thief across the street. He lives with some sick woman and changed my password." 15 minutes later, a dusty police car rolled into the alley. Margaret pointed across the street like she was in a courtroom. "It's him. That boy. Matthew. I lent him a broom once. Now he's stealing bandwidth. Do you have proof?" one officer asked. She huffed. "Proof? I have blinking lights and a brain. You think a 12-year-old just knows how to hack?" The cops crossed the road to a crooked little house. The door groaned as it opened. Inside, it was damp and smelled like medicine. A thin boy stood quietly. His hair was messy. His eyes tired but sharp. "Matthew?" the officer asked. He said nothing, just backed away. A weak voice echoed from the room. A woman barely moving on an old mattress whispered, "I'm fine, son." "I'm okay, Mom," he whispered back. Margaret's voice cut through from outside. "That boy doesn't belong here. He's a threat to decent people like me." "Keep it down," the officer snapped. The house was falling apart. Mold on the walls. A fan that didn't work. Fridge empty. Outlets dead. "Did someone teach you how to use Wi-Fi?" the officer asked softly. Matthew didn't speak. Just pulled out an old phone from his torn pocket. The screen was cracked. "No SIM," one officer noted. "But it's been online," the other added. Margaret yelled louder. "If you won't do anything, I'll sue. I have rights." The officer stepped outside. Her voice turned cold. "You talk about rights? What about that sick woman's right to live? Or does your internet matter more?" Everyone fell silent. A plumber nearby tried to defend the boy. "He's just trying to help his mom." Margaret snapped back. "Freeloader." Kids from nearby houses whispered behind curtains. "He's a hacker," one said. "My mom said he broke into a camera." Rumors spread fast. Eyes peeked from everywhere. Whispers got louder. One officer leaned in. "We can't go off the word of a bitter old woman." "But the boy, he's different," the other replied. Matthew finally spoke, voice shaking. "I don't want to leave my mom." One look at his face said everything: grit, pain, and something deeper. The neighborhood may have crumbled, but this boy, he hadn't. Inside the dark house, he sat by his mother, holding his cracked phone like it was the last thing he had left. The old house stayed cold and quiet. Wind slipped through the broken walls like a whisper. Shadows stretched across the floor as Lieutenant Ferguson and Sergeant Olson stepped back in. The tech team had confirmed it. Someone had hacked a nearby router. "Matthew," Olson said, "can you show us where you used the phone?" The boy gave a quiet nod and led them to a corner. A flipped cardboard box worked as his desk. A worn-out notebook, a few tiny pencils, and a spool of copper wire sat on top. "I study here," he said. "There's no light, so I read before sunset." Olson scanned the room. The walls were covered in mold. A rat ran past. On a damp, thin mattress, his mom lay still, a face pale, lips dry. "What happened to her?" Olson asked softly. "A car crash. Her spine's broken. Doctor said she'll never walk again." "Any family?" He shook his head. "Just us. I collect cans to buy food. Sometimes the market vendor gives leftovers." Ferguson frowned. "Then how do you learn to use a phone like that?" Matthew didn't answer. His hands curled tight. "I just wanted to learn. We can't afford books. I used Wi-Fi to watch free lessons." Outside, Margaret stood stiff like a statue of blame. "Don't be fooled," she sneered. "His mom's faking it. He's stealing Wi-Fi and playing the poor victim. I've lived here 10 years, never seen anything like this." Peter Marks, the plumber, stepped up. "Come on, Margaret. Sometimes connections fail. Doesn't mean someone's guilty." "You always defend them," she snapped. "Families like that are dragging this place down." Lucy, Olson's partner, leaned into Ferguson. "We'll have to file a report." "Should we call social services?" "Absolutely. No power, no hot water. This place doesn't meet basic living rules." Matthew heard them. His eyes widened. "Please, don't take me away. Who'll care for my mom if I'm gone?" Just then, Mrs. Nancy from the corner store stepped in. "He buys dry bread and salt. He's never begged. He's done nothing wrong." Margaret rolled her eyes. "Kindness like defeats future criminals." Then the tech specialist, James, arrived. He checked Matthew's phone. This phone did use Margaret's Wi-Fi, but the password changed 3 days ago. Could someone else have used it? Olson asked. James shook his head. No signs of another user. But someone messed with the IP and DNS. Whoever did this understands networks. Ferguson raised a brow. A 12-year-old? It's rare, James said, but not impossible. Olsen turned to the boy. Where'd you learn all this? Matthew looked down, then over at his mom. Old books. Library videos. I read everything page by page. Outside, whispers started up. A woman murmured, they say his mom's been paralyzed 3 years. Nobody's seen a doctor. The girl once fainted from hunger. Lucy stepped outside, voice firm. Don't judge based on rumors. Peter nodded. She's right. No proof, no blame. Margaret shouted. Then who'll return my data? My Wi-Fi died during a bank call. James sighed. Your router's old. It's not secure. Anyone with basic guides could get in. So it's my fault? He shrugged. Inside, Lucy asked gently, Matthew want something to eat? He shook his head. I gave it to Mom. I'm full. Lucy opened the fridge. 2 cracked eggs. A moldy tub of milk. That's all. Ferguson spoke low. We have to report this. Rules are rules. Matthew jumped up. No, I'm not leaving Mom. Then the social worker arrived. Helen Murphy earlier than expected. I'm from social services, she said. We got a report. Ferguson nodded. Unauthorized network use. Unsafe home. Helen looked around, then spoke gently. This is serious. No power, no guardian. He might be at risk. Matthew backed away. I don't need help. I can take care of her. Helen knelt down. We're not here to hurt you. But if you don't cooperate, we may have to move you somewhere stable. The boy's voice cracked. No one cares for her like I do. I even tried vibration therapy, but nothing works. Olsen whispered, he's scared. He's just a kid. Helen nodded. Law is law. Outside, Margaret was already spreading gossip. That boy's not normal. He shows no feelings. What if he's faking it? Lucy stormed out. You think love and sacrifice are not normal now? Silence fell. Inside, only soft sobs could be heard. Mom, don't leave me. Rose couldn't speak, but her eyes filled with tears. As the sun dropped behind rusted roofs, 2 more officers arrived, Lieutenant Stephen Parker and a new tech, Laura Vincent. They came early, techs in dark jackets, wires in hand, tools blinking. They weren't here to talk. They came to track, trace, and expose. Across the street, a woman stood outside with her arms crossed, smug like she'd already won. Told you, she said, loud enough for all to hear. Never underestimate a former accountant. No one answered. The man in charge just gave a slight nod and stepped into the old house. Inside, the boy sat in the corner, small, quiet, holding his mother's lifeless hand. He didn't move, didn't speak. Matthew, someone said gently, these people are just here to check your phone. It's okay. A woman stepped closer, voice soft like a lullaby. I'm going to connect to your phone now, all right? The boy gave a small nod. He pulled out a phone that looked like it had survived a war. Cracked screen, chipped casing. But it still worked. The woman plugged in her device and began reading data. Here, she said, the Wi-Fi logs show access through house number 12's router. Was the password changed? Someone asked. Yeah, she replied, and the DNS too. But then her voice dropped. This isn't a normal hack. No brute force, no tools. Someone knew exactly what to do. They logged in like a pro. Everyone turned to the boy. Where'd you learn that? Asked one of the officers. Silence. The woman checked the browser history. Her eyes widened. English tech blogs, network forums. How did he even read all this? I used a translator, the boy said quietly. I wrote everything down, then I tried. She blinked. He taught himself. Someone muttered most college students couldn't even do this. Still, the man in charge didn't flinch. Clever doesn't excuse breaking rules. But is it really a crime? A woman asked, or just a kid trying to survive? Another voice jumped in firm, sharp. Feelings don't change the law. The woman turned back to the boy, eyes softer now. Why did you do it? His voice shook. To watch videos about physics and the brain. Everyone froze. Why the brain? The boy looked at his mother. Because she can't walk. I wanted to know why and how to fix it. Outside, the smug woman called out again. So? Are you arresting him or what? Another voice snapped. That's enough. You want a child locked up for learning faster than others? She didn't care. If we let this slide, we'll be overrun with tech thieves. But a young officer stepped forward. This boy's different. Smarter than his age. We shouldn't treat him like a criminal. The man leading the team stayed cold. We'll let the cyber committee decide. The woman gently placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. You're not alone. I'll go with you. Then someone from social services walked in. If a kid breaks tech laws even by mistake, he might get sent to special schooling. The boy looked up fast. What about my mom? She'll get care. She may be moved to a facility. His voice cracked. No, please. I just need more time. I can help her. Don't take her away. One woman clenched her fists. We're ruining a genius because of paperwork. The leader just said coldly, we follow rules, not feelings. The young officer bent down to Matthew. Don't give up, kid. Just because the world doesn't understand you doesn't mean you're wrong. The boy looked up teary-eyed. I didn't steal anything. I just didn't have money to live like others. Another woman gently touched his shoulder. The hearing's tomorrow. Cooperate and things may go smoother. The boy didn't reply. He looked at his mother, her eyes full of pain but no strength to speak. In a corner, his old notebook lay open. Pages packed with drawings, diagrams, theories. Like a map no one could read. The tech expert picked it up, eyes wide. This is a model about spinal nerves. This doesn't exist in any school curriculum. Another officer whispered, and it came from a 12-year-old accused of stealing Wi-Fi. Outside, cruel voices rose. Kids shouting, neighbors whispering. Hacker boy. Don't let him back in school. He's dangerous. The woman stared out the window, pain in her eyes. We're destroying something special. The boy turned away. His tears fell quietly. Rumors didn't walk, they flew. By nightfall, his name was everywhere. At the grocery store, the cafe, even the old radio repair shop. Did you hear about Matthew? They say he reads secret medical papers. Maybe that woman isn't even his mom. Inside, Matthew sat quietly beside his mother. The noise outside stabbed through the thin walls. Can you hear them, Mom? She couldn't speak, but her eyes filled with tears. He gripped her hand tighter. Don't be scared. I didn't do anything wrong. Then crash. A rock smashed their window. Matthew ran out. The kids were already gone. One of them was James. They used to play marbles together. A few minutes later, the woman returned with groceries. She saw Matthew picking up glass. Who did this? She asked. I don't know. They ran. Are you hurt? I'm fine. He was used to being ignored. Used to hunger. Used to the silence. Lucy placed the grocery bag down on the cracked desk. You need to eat, she said softly. Nobody survives on an empty stomach. The boy looked up at her, voice barely above a whisper. Miss Lucy, am I really getting sent to a camp? She hesitated. The committee meets the day after tomorrow. They think you shouldn't live with your mother anymore. But I'm not alone. She's here. I take care of her. I've learned how. His eyes didn't blink, didn't shake. Lucy didn't respond. She couldn't. Outside, at the local cafe, Peter was busy stirring trouble. Other kids are copying him now, he told Mr. John. Nick tried hacking with his dad's phone today. If we don't stop that boy, this place will fall apart. John raised a brow. Or maybe he just needs help. Peter scoffed. A kid who knows more than adults? That's not smart. It's dangerous. Back home, the boy stepped out to take out the trash. He noticed something shoved under the door. Piece of paper. The handwriting was shaky, uneven. Get out of here before this neighborhood gets into trouble. He didn't flinch, just tore the paper apart and crushed it in his palm. Later that night, Helen, the social worker, showed up. She held a thick file in one hand and a paper in the other. You need to sign this. It's an admission of network access. It'll help with a lighter sentence. He looked her dead in the eye. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't steal. I just needed internet. Helen's voice went cold. You're a minor. If you refuse, they'll separate you from your mom and place you in correctional custody. Separate? His voice cracked. I'm not leaving her. Then sign the paper. I won't. Helen stood up. I'll report this. Once she left, the house felt colder. He laid his head on his mom's stomach and whispered, they want to tear us apart, Mom, but I won't let them. Morning came, and so did the cruelty. Kids spray-painted graffiti on his walls. Freeloader. Hacker. Dangerous. He just stood there frozen. Mrs. Lydia passed by, selling fish. If that were my kid, I'd smack him. Just look at that face. Lucy showed up, face burning with anger. That's enough. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. Get him out. Let us have peace. Peace. Lucy snapped. You call throwing out a starving child peace? You're safe because your internet wasn't touched. The boy didn't say a word, just turned around and quietly closed the door. That night, in the dark, he opened his phone. The glow lit up his face. Even with the threat of being caught, he kept studying, watching old medical lectures, drawing diagrams. Day 18. I've never felt this alone before, but I won't give up. If anyone has to believe Mom can walk again, it has to be me. Wind howled outside like a scream through the tin roofs. He curled under a thin blanket. Beside him, his mother's breath was faint, like she could vanish any second. His cracked phone screen glowed in the dark. Note 213. Use low-frequency vibration to stimulate damaged neural axons. He saved the note. Opened another video. A lecture on neural regeneration. English, German, French. Comments everywhere. He didn't care. He copied each diagram, each note. Mom, I think I found it. If I just adjust the frequency and build a simple model. The next morning, Sergeant Lucy Olson got a call. Sergeant, it's Charles. I reviewed the boy's phone. You need to see this. She rushed to the data room. On the screen, hundreds of notes. No games. No messages. Just science. Medicine. Theory. He's trying to make a treatment for his mom, Charles said. And it's not basic. Some of these notes, they haven't even been published yet. He played a video. The boy was building a small reflex model using string, straws, magnets. Look, Lucy, Charles pointed. He's creating oscillation. He's syncing it with a control board. Lucy's hands trembled. I need to see the chief. In the command room, the tension was thick. Lieutenant Parker scrolled through the notes. His face darkened. This is his work? James from Cyber nodded. It includes advanced diagrams, reflex regulation models, bioelectrical theories. This isn't kid stuff. Helen looked down. I didn't think it went this deep. Parker leaned back, voice cold. I don't deny his skill, but he still broke the law. Lucy snapped. You think he's a threat? The law is the law. Lucy turned to Helen. Did anyone even ask him why he did it? Helen stayed quiet. Lucy's voice cracked. You all decided before even talking to him. Later that afternoon, Lucy returned to the boy's house. He was drawing on cardboard. I know they're taking me, he said quietly. I heard the kids. I'm not dumb. Lucy sat down beside him. Why didn't you tell anyone what you were working on? No one would believe me. I'm just some poor kid. Alone. No one cares what I'm trying to do. Lucy pulled out printed notes. I believe you. His voice shook. Doesn't matter. You can't stop them from taking me away. Just then, his mother's hand twitched. Mom! A small tremble, but to him it was everything. Lucy stood. I'll try, but you have to promise. Don't give up. He nodded. Meanwhile, at the social services office, Helen was on the phone. We may need to reassess the case, but I'm afraid they'll say I'm going soft. The supervisor replied coldly, just follow protocol. Feelings aren't evidence. That night, the boy added one more note. Peripheral reflexes may be triggered by acoustic vibration if frequency matches natural nerve oscillation. He stared at his mother, whispering like a promise. Just a few more days, Mom. I'm almost done. Before the sun rose, she was already at the station. Heels clicking loud on old tile. Margaret walked in holding a silver USB. New evidence, she said flatly. Officer Stephen barely looked up. You again? She smirked. Yes, and this time I've got footage. My private camera caught the boy creeping past my house. Private camera? Stephen muttered. Unauthorized? Maybe, but still valid. He plugged in the drive. The footage rolled, night vision. A small figure in ragged clothes moved along the curb, pausing near house 12, then gone. There. Margaret pointed. Loitering. That's trespassing. Stephen squinted. All I see is a kid walking. No break-in. No yard entry. Margaret's voice sharpened. Then how did my Wi-Fi password get changed? Who touched my router? Lucy Olson entered, catching the last part. One glance at the screen, she frowned. This doesn't prove anything. Margaret crossed her arms. Of course you'd defend him. But I saw him looking at my antenna. Maybe he was out buying bread at 11 p.m., Lucy replied. Don't be naive. Stephen turned to James, the tech guy. Can we match the password change time with the video? James checked. It lines up. Lucy nodded. So maybe it happened, but no one saw him touch the device. Margaret cut in. But logic says he did. Stephen sighed and took notes. I'll file it. Committee will decide. Margaret smiled smugly. He's done for now. Back home. The boy sat beside his mother, hands steady as he twisted copper and plastic. If I add vibration to the buffer cord, then the door opened. Helen walked in with Paul Taylor. We need to talk. He stood quickly. Are you sending me away again? Paul was cold. A neighbor sent new evidence. Transfer is set for tomorrow. What? I didn't do anything. Helen avoided his eyes. There's video of you near their house. It matches the router access time. I was buying water, he shouted. Paul's voice stayed robotic. Your behavior is a risk. Correction is needed. I'm building a cure for my mom. Helen snapped. Enough. His voice cracked. Mom, I don't want to leave. I haven't tested the last model. She didn't move, only her eyes followed him. Paul laid down the transfer form. Vehicle arrives at 9 a.m. They left. The boy crumbled. Later, Peter Marks arrived with a hard loaf of bread. I heard they're taking you. The boy nodded. Peter sat beside him. When I was young, I got arrested. No one cared why. No one gave me a shot. I didn't steal, the boy whispered. I believe you. But it's not about what you believe, it's about what they do. So what now? Peter sighed. I don't know. But don't let them destroy what you've built. Remember who you are. Morning came fast. Margaret called her friends. Got him out. You're welcome. At the local shop, Mrs. Nancy frowned. He once thanked me with both hands for a loaf of bread. You're soft, Mr. John scoffed. He's too quiet. Who knows what he's thinking? That's no reason to ruin a child, she said. But it was too late. The decision was final. The stamp sealed. The countdown began. Inside the house, the boy sat frozen beside his mother. His project sat unfinished, a speaker magnet on wood, wires coiled tight. Just one more step, Mom, he whispered, voice trembling. Outside, the white van waited, silent under gray clouds. Paul and Helen stepped out. Let's make it quick, Paul said. I have doubts, Helen muttered. You're too soft. It's signed. Done, Paul snapped. Lucy stood at the window, fists clenched. A professor wanted to see him this morning, she whispered. No point. The system's already rolling, Paul said flatly. They walked in. Please don't, the boy said. Helen tried to be gentle. You know we must. I'm begging you, just one more week. I can fix her. I know it. That hasn't been verified, Paul replied coldly. He grabbed his mom. I'm not leaving her. Paul reached for him. Kid, it's mandatory. No, he screamed. Mom, don't let them. Rose's eyes flew open, silent tears falling. Her body stayed still. Lucy stepped in. You can't treat him like this. Paul snapped back, you know what the law says. The boy broke free. Hands shaking, he ran to his model. Just once. One trial. He placed it near his mother's hand. Pressed the button. The cord buzzed. Her fingers twitched with the rhythm. He stared. Waiting. The boy's fingers twitched. Was that real? Helen froze. Lucy screamed, it's just a reflex. Paul's face hardened. Not enough to stop the order. The boy dropped beside his mom, crushed. I'm sorry. I wasn't fast enough. Helen turned away, wiping her eyes. Paul raised his hand. Let's go. Lucy stood between them. At least let him say goodbye. The boy clutched his mom's hand, trembling. Please don't leave while I'm gone. I'll come back. I'll be a doctor. I promise. Her eyes gently closed. Paul pulled the boy away. Lucy shouted again, her voice shaking. He's trying to save her. Don't you get it? Paul's voice was cold. We get the law. They dragged the boy to the door. He turned, eyes full of heartbreak. Don't leave my mom alone. Outside, a woman smirked from her doorway. Finally got rid of the trash. But neighbors stood nearby. Mrs. Nancy spoke quietly. What have you done, Margaret? You destroyed someone's only hope. I kept order, Margaret snapped. Peter stepped forward, voice low and sharp. No. You just protected your pride. The boy was pushed into the van. Through the small window, he looked back at the crooked little house, his mom still lying there, waiting. In the yard, Lucy dropped to her knees. Forgive us, she whispered. Far from that house, in a quiet hospital room with soft yellow light, the boy sat by his mother's side. Her face was pale. A clock ticked like a war drum. A voice entered the room, warm, familiar. Matthew, do you know who called me today? The boy turned, eyes widening. Officer Stephen? Yes, the professor smiled. He sent me your notes and that model you built. I've never seen anything like it. The boy looked down. I just wanted to give my mom hope. The professor knelt, taking his hand. You're a genius. What you've written is better than most current research. I've never met a kid who understands this so deeply. The boy looked up, a small, fragile smile forming. But can you really help us? I've already contacted the Department of Health, the professor said. They've agreed to stop the separation. You're staying with your mom. Tears welled in the boy's eyes. Really? The professor nodded. And they want to test your method. If it works, it could help many others with spinal injuries. In the hallway, Officer Stevens spoke with Lucy and the professor. I saw his phone at the station, his notes, his model. I had to call for help. Lucy's voice cracked. We thought he was a criminal. But now we see the truth. He's a genius and a son who never gave up. Inside, the boy held his mother's hand. Her skin was still pale, but her eyes slowly opened. Mom, he whispered, I won't let anyone take me away from you again. The next day, Paul and Helen got the official notice. The order's canceled, Helen said, her voice tight. Matthew stays with his mother. Paul sighed. We were wrong. We judged him too fast. News spread fast. Reporters flooded the neighborhood. They called him the boy who hacked Wi-Fi to save his mom. A young reporter asked him, What did you do, Matthew? He hesitated. I didn't steal Wi-Fi to do anything wrong. I just wanted to learn, so I could save her. The reporter smiled. You've inspired so many. The community changed. People showed up to help. Mrs. Nancy, the grocer, handed the boy a new laptop. This is from all of us. You earned it. Meanwhile, Margaret heard the news. She snapped. No. I was just doing my job. But no one stood with her now. Peter stepped forward. You hurt a family for your own pride. She stood alone, disgraced. Later, in front of cameras, the professor spoke. The therapy model this boy created is showing results. It's a breakthrough. And slowly, Rose began to move. Doctors stood around the bed, eyes wide with awe. Vibration therapy and remote bioelectric pulses. They actually worked. Their words didn't just shock the room. They shook history. The boy once mocked for stealing Wi-Fi. He just earned an honorary scholarship from Johns Hopkins. Youngest ever. The same kid who used to run errands with secondhand shoes was now entering the world's top medical prep program. But the real miracle? Mrs. Rose's fingers moved. Then her hand. For years of silence, broken by a simple, trembling touch. Her eyes watered as she felt her son's hand for the first time in forever.